verse 15.
Verse 15, chapter 7.
Okay. The Bible says here, in Ecclesiastes, all things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perisheth in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man that prolongeth his life in his wickedness. Well, we think about vanity. Now, all we do in this life, except for God, is vanity. All the good times, whatever we experience in this life, whether we poor, middle class, or rich, what we have in this life, one day will come down the end of the way, or before the rapture takes place, it all becomes as nothing. It's not important anymore. And what to follow is what's important. Whether people go to heaven or go to hell. That's what it all comes down to at the end of the way. But during this time, we are living here on this earth, we must understand there's a just man that perisheth in his righteousness. And that means that, to me, that we're going to perish even though we're righteous. We live a righteous life. We're righteous in the sight of God because of the blood of Christ. But we still gonna perish. Well, the rapture comes, we'll be changed in a moment, twinkling of an eye. But whether we experience anything during that change, who's to know? But it's gonna happen that quick. So if we even felt some kind of pain, blink your eye, that would be it. We probably won't, but if we did, it would be so little that we wouldn't even really feel it, I suppose. And it goes on to say, and there is a wicked man that prolonged his life in his wickedness. Now we're going to find out something different in verse 16. But there's ungodly people that sometimes live a long life that are real wicked. We wonder sometimes, probably thoughts come to your mind. Why in the world don't God get rid of that laser rusher? I mean, I don't know, he's probably about Linda's age, but we don't know, we don't always understand God. Who's to know the mind of the Lord, the Bible says. Who's been his counselor? I think of that verse, I don't know. But
Do you think maybe he's giving him a chance to get saved?
oh yeah,
There's always that, and then there's also, I know there's a lot of, I guess, cosmological things that God does that we just don't understand that are behind it all. But I also know he leaves a lot of it up with free will. And I know we have that choice. Are we going to follow and accept God, or are we going to reject it? And I know God gives us that choice. But I guess another reason why, I think one of the biggest reasons why people would choose not to follow God or not believe or in God or whatever is because they've dealt with a tragic loss in their life, and that tragic loss made them think bitter. It made them feel, why should I follow a God that's going to let that happen? But what they don't realize is that God can use that to actually help you, and that really they need to understand that as long as they were saved, they're probably in a better place. If they went through a tragic loss or a bad event in their life, is that they need to work through that with God. I think a lot of the times when you love someone, you're going to have conflict along the way somewhere. I feel like one time in somebody's marriage, you're gonna argue. Maybe sometime child to parent, you're not gonna see eye to eye. Parent's gonna discipline the kid some way.
Right.
Kid's gonna do something wrong. There's gonna be something along. Sorry for the cough. I think I caught a bit of a cough, or maybe it's allergies. I don't know. But anyway, what I was saying, there's gonna be some kind of conflict you're gonna see in people's love, or something that you may not see eye to eye with. But I know with the Lord, it's not always going to be sunshine and rainbows with how that's going to be. God has plans, and He's going to test you, and He's going to help you. But when something bad does happen, it went along with His plan. We may not know His reasoning, but you can use that to help you.
Exactly.
And I think if there was only good things in this world, you would only love God for those good things. And that's not true love. That's not what love is about. If I if I just constantly went about my way and I just let all these good things happen to somebody, they're only going to like me just because I'm giving them stuff, or we're not actually having a bond. God wants real, true love. He's not going to let nothing but good things happen, because if He did, well, we're only going to love Him just for those good things. We're not going to love Him through any hard times to show what His love really is like. I think because there's bad things in this world, and you see what Jesus Christ did dying on the cross, that way you can see is that there is a greater evil in this world, and that's the devil, that's Satan. And we can overcome that with God. We can overcome any temptations thrown at us. We can do any of that. We just have to look towards God, and that God really is so magical and so just beyond our understanding in so many ways. He is so great. He's just so wonderful.
Amen.
And you can see that. And if it's so hard to see that if there was only these good things. So that's why I believe that there is evil. And you can look in the book of Job. I think the book of Job really explains that very well. And I think I really do think that there's always, like, you are going to reap what you sow. Even if you live a long life where you're able to do all this wicked stuff, in the end it's going to come back to get you. Sorry. Joseph Stalin, he lived decently long life, average amount of time somebody would live. He spent his time, he killed more people than Adolf Hitler. Yeah. He was an evil, corrupt leader. He was an atheist, devout. He actually tried to use religion to trick people, he was abusing faith in God to trick people into following Him. Mm-hmm. And then after they followed Him, they made it to where you can only follow a state religion, that this atheistic thing. Mm-hmm. It was awful. And he went about all of his life, he did that. But in the end, you want to know how he died. I think he had a cerebral hemorrhage. I think he did. Well, I know that when he died, no doctor that was left alive, because he imprisoned a lot of his doctors and a lot of the people. He imprisoned them all, killed them all, got them out of his way, and anyone that was left was too scared to treat him, so he just died. Yeah. And I think that really came back to get him. I really think he reaped what he sowed in that sense, because he spent his whole life doing that, and then you look at how he died. Mm-hmm. Prison, killed, gotten rid of all of the best doctors, and the ones that were left, they were too scared to treat him. So
there's consequences for all your actions. It's just whether it's going to be a good consequence or a bad consequence.
Right.
I think that people that are wicked and don't live for God, I think their life is empty. I think you just continue looking for something to make them happy, and it doesn't.
Yep.
And God knows everything. He knows all about us. And I think their life is empty. Just like we saw someone mowing the yard this morning. We do just about every Sunday morning that same person. And his life is empty. It's got to be.
He's trying to fill it with something. Mowing the lawn is what he's doing to fill it up on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you look, people will do anything to try to fill their lives up in any way they can. I seen a video. It was just a little illustration, like a little animated video. I think it perfectly showed what addiction is like. it was like a little bird, and it ran up, and it was like this little yellow piece of, it looked like just little food, symbolizing like a drug or something you could be addicted to. And at first it walked past it, kept going, then it stopped and seen it again, got curious, it ate it, and it felt great. It didn't seem like nothing bad happened, kept going, seen the little piece again, ate it, kept going, but felt great. But this time he fell on his bottom really, really hard. He shook it off. He kept going. He ate another piece. He keeps going, and the more and more pieces he takes, the shorter that happiness is, the shorter the good feeling of it gets, the shorter and shorter it gets, and the harder the fall he takes right after, to the point to where he didn't even look like what he did before. And then before you know it, there was no more pieces left for him to take, and all that was left was what became of him after that addiction. And it was kind of a little sad video. All it was just a little animated video of a bird eating food,
but it made a lot of sense.
It did. It really symbolized the power of an addiction, and I think you don't even need to have, drugs to be addicted. You can be addicted to so many different kinds of things and in sin. And I think the devil makes it easy for that. He does. But you notice, the more you do, the worse it gets. And you really do see that, because it's so easy to be tricked into it. And I think it's a sad thing, because people are going to go out of their way in their lives and fill their lives up, with all this sin and this problem and this addiction. And I think it's a very sad, disappointing way a lot of people go about their lives. So I really do pray for people, want to help people, because it's terrible.
You want to pray for them. You pray that they'll get saved before it's too late. But as long as they're addicted, it's not a whole lot we can do until they see themselves addicted and they turn to God.
There's things, like, as you were saying, there's lots of things you can be addicted to. It's just like, it depends on what it is. Dad was scrolling through YouTube the other day, and I saw this video, which he didn't end up pressing on it, but it said, addicted to cleaning. It's like, you can use that in a good way. You can use that to earn money for your family, serve God, but you could also use it in a bad way where you're annoying people. But if you use it in a good way, you could use that addiction. But addiction to drugs, there is no good point about that. There's no good point about addiction to alcohol. It depends what you are addicted to.
Right.
Yeah, well, those people never clean, and they house anything, and they're addicted to this everything being bad. And Linda, sister-in-law, great lady, great Christian.
Good Christian lady.
But she's just busy all the time, wiping, a little bit of dust here and there. That could be some kind of addiction too. Gotta have that house perfect.
And it always is. No dust, no nothing in that house.
Let's try to get a couple more verses. Verse 16, be not righteous over much. Now, how could that be? We believe in being righteous. I get from that you can come to the point where you feel like you're so righteous. Nobody comes up to the standard like you. I think it could get out of hand in a situation like that. There's nothing wrong with being righteous, but we get to the point where we pat ourselves on the back and say, boy, ain't nobody like me. I don't do this, that, and the other, and I don't have never a bad thought. I'm just perfect. I'm so righteous.
So righteous you become prideful.
Right.
Exactly.
You gotta leave the pride right out of it.
Yeah.
Because
That's right.
the pride destroys it. When you get involved in something like that, and you start patting yourself on the back. I don't think I'm not saying that it's wrong to be confident in yourself or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's a good thing to be that way. It's just when you start getting to the point to where you become selfish or narcissistic, if you will, into whatever you're doing or your own things that you're getting involved in, it's always important to stay clear of that and to avoid that. You're getting into some prideful territory, and that pride really can destroy so many different things. It can destroy relationships. It can destroy different things you're doing in your life. It can destroy a career.
Right.
It's a very, very dangerous, slippery slope you can start falling down like an avalanche where it just keeps getting worse and worse and builds up. Just like the addiction thing, it builds in. I think it's just one and one. That pride can destroy everything just as much as an addiction could, and it's a very dangerous path you can go through.
Well, even here, be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Just let God give you the wisdom that you need, and not brag about it, and just be wise, your own self. Whatever God gives you, use it, and don't brag about it. Boy, I'm so wise, I mean, I know more about the Bible. I know more about politics. I know more about electrical things that I work on than anybody on this earth. You're going too far when you get to that
That
point.
could get you in trouble.
Yeah. And it says,
If I could use an example,
Yeah.
is that, for example, when I was in school, middle school, my grades were not very good at all. We'll just say it that way. But I've improved, and I've gotten all straight A's this year. And I've gotten a lot of good grades. Well, I could use that against it and be like, I got straight A's, and more as a boastful way. But I don't want to do that. I mean, you could just say I'm being modest. I really just don't want to do that. I know it's wrong to boast. It's wrong to brag. You shouldn't be doing that anyway, but you can use that as a prideful thing. You can say, look how much I improved. You didn't improve as much. It's so easy to do that. It's so easy to get in the way of that. But instead, you could use that to help somebody else. If somebody else, maybe, hey, I got a C on this. Can you, oh yeah, it's, this is how you do it. You can help explain that. If you have wisdom, you can help somebody else who may not have as much wisdom, and you can give them the wisdom.
Exactly.
And you can help with that. I think it's wrong for somebody to just get some wisdom and just bottle it up. It's mine. It's all mine. You're not really sharing that wisdom with anyone else. If you learn something really good out of the Bible, you could learn something really good. You need to share that with somebody. Anyway, that's why I think discussion is so important, and why we get to share our own testimonies in here in Sunday school, and that we can learn something, or we can hear somebody else's point of view to apply it to our lives. There's certain things I always like when you pray and you say dig into the Word. I just picture a metaphor of really, literally, like with a shovel, like digging into the Word, because really, if you don't dig into it, you're not going to get anywhere. I picture a ground. If you're just going to stay at the top and you're not really digging into it, how are you going to know? You're not going to know what's below if you don't dig. So I really get a good metaphor out of that, and I appreciate that. But if you wouldn't say that, I wouldn't know. I'm just using that as an example. Is like, we can do that. You can help someone without even realizing you're helping them. Like, it can create like a good visual metaphor like that, or you could help maybe tutor someone with some work or anything like that. I really think you can really do a good job with sharing wisdom with people, even in ways where you may not even realize you're sharing it.
Look at this, feeling you over righteous, and feeling you over wise can result in this. Why shouldest thou destroy us? Well, people ain't gonna like that, and you can destroy yourself.
Destroy your testimony.
That's right, and other people. Now listen to verse 17. Be not over much wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why should thou die before thy time? I think of over there in, what is that country's giving Israel such a hard time? No,
Iraq?
no, the other one over there. Iran.
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 That's right, I confused the two.
Okay. Iran, president, vice president, some of his cabinet, and the one flying the plane, they run into a mountain. Some kind of fog or something caused the airplane pilot not to see it. They all perished. And you know how wicked that bunch has been.
Mm-hmm.
Still are over. I don't know who the leaders are now. But it leads to me to believe they's over wicked. Somebody got rid of it. It might have been God. I mean, here they go sending these missiles and drones and everything over into Israel, shooting them over there. Of course, they shot back and intercepted. But, you know, you think maybe it made God mad? He might destroy them? Possibility.
I think it is. I mean, you look at a lot of the things in history, God's protected Israel a lot.
Yeah.
Since 1948, 1949,
Yeah.
when they was making Israel a real state, the state of Israel, when they made that again and they helped to make Israel a place again,
Yeah.
boy, the attack started immediately. And you look, Yom Kippur War, 6 Days War, how fast those wars tended to be, and how much God really protected Israel. I really do think God's going to protect Israel, and God's going to help all the other nations that are supporting Israel. And what scares me is how much we were getting away from supporting Israel.
Right.
How much people want to. Because when I was in D.C., I didn't see any protests. I seen a lot of. I seen some stickers and things like that on like little signs and things, and like a billboard or whatever. Stuff all about supporting Gaza and Palestine. And I'm just wondering, this is our nation's capital, and you're not even supporting this. I mean, the U.S. and Israel have been great allies across history, great allies. And here we are, where the majority of our people are causing riots and causing all these different things to happen, and they're not even supporting Israel one bit. And I think that's just a shame,
Yeah.
because when you look at the history of it, and you just look at the biblical importance it holds, Israel is such a good ally to us politically, but also biblically, Israel is such an important state, and just, I don't even think a lot of the people protesting know what they're protesting for.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen videos of people, what's the number one thing for Hamas? And they're like, oh, they're trying to free Palestine. Their main goal is to kill all the Jews.
Right.
I mean, when I think kill all the Jews, I think of somebody like Adolf Hitler in the Holocaust. Hamas is saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So I just think that's just mind blowing. I think God is going to protect Israel. I do believe it. There's going to be a lot of tragedy with it, but like we were saying earlier, I think it can be used. And I think that God can use that tragedy. I think that stuff like that can really be used. And I really do think that if this country does get away from backing Israel like it has been trying to show, I mean, I really do think a lot of it is going in with end times. I mean, you study the end times. I mean, it really is, joining together. Now, of course, who knows when something like that could be, whether it's 100,000 years from now or whether it's in 10 minutes. We don't know, but I just know Lord's coming back, and I think it's
Amen.
important. We need to get the gospel out there to people.
Right.
I do know.
And that was a very good idea that he had out to Batesville and taking tracks and witnessing the people while we sell. Now, if Brother Michael agrees with that.
That would be a good way to raise money and to
Uh-huh.
talk about There's two pros.
There's always a way to witness.
Always is. I think really there's always some way you can do it, no matter where you were at or what you were doing. You can really spread the word.
Well, more in my heart was it's been a couple of weeks and I was over the food line and I had this guy that he was going outside to get the carts and I gave him a track. And I watched him, he read it while he was going to get those carts. He might never come to this church, but he may apply it to his heart and one day get saved if he wasn't saved. I don't know.
I go where I take some tracks to my there when she gets her hair fixed. I go to the music store. Well, they's lined up out there, getting ready to go into the
Snappy
restaurant.
lunch.
Snappy lunch, I start passing that track.